when my dad passed away, which was when I was 15, I guess.
Oh, wow.
That's when I realized, okay, I should do something because now I should take more responsibilities and be a person that actually can do good and also do things that would take care of family, right? That's what got me thinking. Mom didn't let me feel all the pressure. Now as an adult, I know how tough it is to raise a child. The fear of failure wasn't there because there was someone to support me. I could say I'm a sort of like a creative person in that sense. Basically, I want to just test the idea. In my line of work, we have something called the MVPs, which is the minimal viable product. That's the same thing I did, and started a small studio at the back of my parents' house, and I was getting bookings. It wasn't much, but because textile manufacturers in Sri Lanka who exports a lot, they saw the studio and they had booked the studio.
Oh, wow.
And space wasn't enough. So that's when I knew, okay, I need to expand this space. I mean, ideas shouldn't be limited by the space. So you somehow figure it out, and you can try to look things that are around you and figure out how to make something makeshift to overcome whatever the issue that you're facing. I see that as a really nice thing about the creative people, which is they know how to work with what they have. They don't need a huge, expensive set of equipments. They'll just whip out their iPhone and start creating.
I just got done recording 2 days of my podcast, the Creative Artist Podcast, here at Hatch.lk, one of the leading startup hubs in Sri Lanka. Because my goal was to be able to tell stories of unique creatives here who are crazy enough to think that they can actually solve problems. To be here at Hatch and be inspired in what I'm doing, and to be able to tell these stories and have this studio and opportunity, I'm super grateful to Hatch. I feel affirmed in my mission to highlight creatives, and when I saw individuals from startups like inviting their own friends to be on here so I can highlight their stories and their unique way of thinking, every single one of them has so much insight to provide to anybody who's watching, anybody who's thinking that they're not good enough to do what they're doing. Seeing stories from doctors who have changed careers into running startups, to journalists, to doing these kinds of things, like, it gives me so much hope to be able to share this to others, to say that, like, wherever you are at, if you're not passionate about what you're doing and you're stuck in your own bubble or whatever, find communities like Hatch, because it is going to be the best thing that you'll do for yourself, because the community is absolutely amazing. Hatch, thank you so much for the support you provided. I can't wait to show you the amazing stories and the insights your own people are going to share with the world.
Hi, welcome to the Creative Artist Podcast. My name is Sharan, and today we're at Hatch in Sri Lanka, a startup hub where creativity and technology is something that happens simultaneously, and they encourage it and tools real problems for humans in Sri Lanka and around the world. And today, without further ado, I have a very interesting creative who has gone through an interesting journey in life. Sachith, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
So, Sachith, tell me about who you are and what you do, and let's go from there.
Yeah, so me personally, like, I think when I was small, like, I mean, career-wise, I'm working in IT, but I guess from a very young age, and with regards to this podcast, I kind of like was thinking and gathering my thoughts about creativity, and I feel like since I was small, I was into how technology works. I was interested in how things work in the background. So I can give you some examples.
Yeah.
Like, so when I was small, like, I was seeing a lot of things, like mechanical things that are working. So I was very fascinated by those. So that's what I was thinking about, and I was like, picturing in mind how do these things work. So I mean, I could say I'm a sort of like a creative person in that sense, and also I am married. I have a very beautiful wife. She should be the one in this podcast because she is the most creative person out of both of us. But yeah, so I grew up here in SL, and we traveled a lot when I was small. So we got to like experience, like my family got to experience like a lot of different culture and how people work. And also I guess I'm a very people-oriented person.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess it's a very, round the twist kind of a way to arrive at who I am.
Yeah.
But I am a person who enjoys how to know how things work, and a person who actually likes to fix problems.
You're very curious.
Yes.
And then you're also entrepreneur.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So to give a little bit of background, like I work in IT, I work as a project manager, and in my line of work, I manage people and budgets and timelines. Those are the three things that I manage on a very simple note. So I also, so to come into my entrepreneurship, like I mentioned earlier, like I am interested about how things work in the background. So that got me into things like, robotics and technical stuff, those kind of stuff. And I went to school in IT, doing, learning about IT. So at the time I was thinking, okay, we need to sort of, be a programmer to be in IT. But I was heavily wrong. Like, there are so many other things in IT that you can do technically, and you don't have to be a programmer necessarily to be in IT. That's what I tell to my mentees and all as well. So all the undergraduates. So in that line of work, I get to meet a lot of people and interact with them. And I wanted to like find I was looking at a business idea that would generate some side income for me. And I was thinking restaurants, okay, low margin,
Yeah.
high risk,
Yeah.
and very, very sort of like, it's very crowded. Then a couple of other businesses, and then I landed on this creator space studio. So that idea was to like also to satisfy that curious part of me, which is to see the creative process, because you might see a video or a photo, but there's a whole load of things that happens in the background, which really fascinates me. So that curious person in me started Creator Space Studios to allow other people to create.
Wow. So real quick, how long has the creative space have been open?
So basically, I wanted to just test the idea. So in my line of work, we have something called the MVPs, which is the minimal viable product. So that's in IT. So in IT, we in day in and day out, we educate customers on, okay, we don't need to spend maybe $100,000 on a website. We can just start small and see how it goes, and then sort of figure out what we need, what are the technologies we need. So that's the same thing I did. I practiced what I preached, and started a small studio at the back of my parents' house. It's at the back of the backyard. So I started like a 15 by 15 foot small space, and I was getting bookings. It wasn't much, but I was getting bookings, and then things started rolling into like a mainstream kind of like. I knew I hit that spot because this is back in 2021, by the way.
Wow.
This was during COVID.
Yeah.
It's all of that. So the big leagues guys, one of the biggest textile manufacturers in Sri Lanka who exports a lot, they saw the studio and they had booked the studio.
Oh wow.
And the space wasn't enough because they were doing like a commercial catalog shoot that's about to be sent out to US or somewhere. I can't speak about the shoot, but yeah, so that's when I knew, okay, I need to expand this space. I mean, ideas shouldn't be limited by the space.
Right.
We're so excited to share with you all the episodes that we filmed in Sri Lanka. We know a lot of you have been waiting, but we wanted to make sure that we did this really meaningfully because it really was an exciting time. When Sharon first came to me and said he was going to take the podcast to Sri Lanka, I honestly thought he was crazy.
And so did I. I was like, is there any possibility we can fit this in? I want to try to bring the podcast there and get to know people and interview creatives. So
we expected to have just a few conversations, maybe a little sparks of inspiration here and there, but what happened was so much deeper than that. We met so many people that not only you got to interview, but that also like came alongside us to help make these conversations happen.
The crazy thing was this daring idea of going to a country, even though I'm from Sri Lanka. I hadn't been back for like 7 years. And all I knew was some people from school that I went to and some on social media that I've been following, but didn't really have concrete plan to make it happen. And some days we had 6-7 episodes back to back recorded because people were waiting and you were kind of facilitating that.
Yeah, so it felt really significant because not only was it that we were having like these raw and authentic conversations, but a lot of their stories resonated with Sharon's, and so it just was really fascinating to see them speaking the same language and to see like just this commonality of creativity and identity and purpose coming out as the themes of these conversations.
You must be wondering when this trip happened. It happened in September, and the goal was to get these episodes out by December or last year. Well, a lot of things happened, and I didn't want to diminish the work we put in, and again, the amazing guests that we've had. So we decided to do something really cool, and we're going to post however many we can a week.
So linked in every single episode, you'll find a free PDF. It's actually a magazine that we developed. You can kind of think of it like if you go to a concert and you get like the souvenir of what happened behind the scenes and just about the different artists and all those things. We wanted to share with you not only about Sharon's journey, but then help you connect with some of the guests that we interview in Sri Lanka, and then invite you on your own creative odyssey.
Yes, there's so much more that goes into or that fuels this podcast, which is this mission to inspire people to create so that they can get to know themselves and connect with their inner child. So to see that we could bring that story out of Sri Lankan creatives, a wide, diverse range of creatives, was definitely a highlight.
Our hope is that whether you're living in the States, you're living in Sri Lanka, or somewhere else around the world, you'll connect with someone's story within Sri Lanka, and it might inspire you to continue on your own creative odyssey.
The link to the PDF of the magazine is in the description, and please check it out. They're doing really cool things that I really think you should be checking out to see their journeys. So without further ado, let's get to the episode.
So I expanded, and there was like a lot of things that happened in Sri Lanka. Like we had like a whole economic crisis, and COVID like struck again, and we had like a whole bunch of things that snowballed. So after all of that, I was able to somehow restart the studio and expand it. Now it's like 50 feet in length and still 15 foot wide, but
Same spot?
Same spot. Expanded and with more equipment. It has more space now, and it has like a garden space where you can like think creatively, because that's one of the plus things that there are some like mainstream actors in Sri Lanka who has come there and done workshops.
Oh, wow.
So if you go onto a page, like they keep telling, okay, this is like a nice spot where they can like free up their mind and start creating. Otherwise, if you go to like another space, what happens is you're in a building, right?
Yeah.
But then what happens is your thoughts are like all over the place, and you feel like you're stuck in a box.
Right.
But I want to like show the sky where the possibilities are endless, and you can just feel free and then go back inside and start creating. So that's the space. And yeah.
Wow. So what are some challenges you faced? I mean, you kind of talked about one thing, but any other challenges you faced, mistakes you made that you learned from in this process?
Yeah, there are many. I think a lot of the mistakes, like it's kind of like, you get to, like, for example, initially I started the small space. The biggest mistake I made was like not maybe thinking about how big it could be. I limited myself thinking that, this is enough. But then I should have like thought a little bit bigger and then, expand, started the space a little bit bigger, then it would have been much easier. That's one thing. Another thing is like not consulting experts who are experts in certain fields when constructing. So there are some like limitations in terms of like the ceiling height. So those kind of things I learned the hard way. So those I learned. Yeah, and other challenges, I don't see any of the challenges. It's basically, I mean, when I started, there wasn't much competition. Now there's more competition. But I see that as a good thing because there's more opportunities for creators, especially young people.
Right.
So myself, I believe like, the undergraduates, they should be focusing more on entrepreneurship and creative side than going down a defined path. So I offer discounts for them to encourage them to come and create in my space.
Wow.
So, and I also like, support them in like sometimes for free, like just out of my willingness to help them. So those kind of things, through those kind of things, I have seen there are, of course, some bad actors,
Yeah.
but all those fade away because of the genuine behaviors of some people. So that inspires you to, keep doing what you're doing and do more good.
Wow. So you went from working with people in IT to working with people, also working with people, creative people. What are some of the positives and negatives you've seen in creative people, since the podcast about creative?
Yeah. So in IT, especially in the kind of companies I have worked in, I have seen the people that come to work with me, especially the youngsters, they come through some sort of an industry and some sort of like a academy, more or less, and they are a bit more structured in the way I have seen it. It doesn't mean like it's a good thing and the other thing is bad. It's not like a black and white situation.
Right.
But what I have noticed is like it's easy to get them into a certain process and easy to guide them, that kind of a thing. But that sort of again fits you into a certain box. But then, it's not like pros and cons of each industry. So there's that part, and I have seen like in the creative industry, it's more or less like more fires to put out. Like you don't know what to expect. I mean, it's there in IT as well, but then it happens more frequently in the creative industry. When you come to a like for a shoot, then you figure out, okay, we need this kind of color and we don't have that, and we need this kind of a light, we don't have that. What do we do to like work around this, because it's a challenge, right? So you somehow figure it out, and then the amazing part is you can just look around and try to look things that are around you and figure out how to make something like makeshift
Yeah.
to overcome whatever the issue that you're facing. So I see that as a really nice thing about the creative people, which is they know how to work with what they have.
Adapt.
So they don't need like a huge expensive set of equipments. They'll just whip out their iPhone and start creating,
Right.
which is amazing, right? I've seen like a lot of creators who come to the studio as well. I'm just out of habit, I'm asking, okay, where's the photographer, where's the videographer? They are like, okay, we are the so they just come and start creating through the iPhone, which is the one of the most powerful things in this generation.
Yeah.
Which is you have the power to change the world in your pocket,
Yeah.
which a lot of people don't realize.
Right. Have you always, I mean, in starting a creative studio, like, I think it's kind of a risky thing sometimes, right? Like,
Yeah.
are you a person who takes risks?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the risks I took was in my career when I was kicking off my career. So everyone was, it came, okay, we did our academics and we are done, and now we have to find internships. So everyone chose like the, big companies, okay, big pay and, fancy officers, all that. I was like, okay, I don't want to like, be full on corporate. I just want to like, because I'm young, right? I can try things out. By the way, if kids are listening, don't take this advice. This is purely my perspective and it worked out for me. But what I did was something completely different. I went to a startup. Like nobody actually in my batch went to a startup. I was the only one. But the best part, it turned out to be really good, because in that startup, I know that I wasn't able to cover a lot of things, but then I was able to also cover a lot of things, which
Right.
is, in a startup, it's
All hands on.
all hands on. It's like chaos, right?
Yeah.
There's no process. Like you have to figure things out in your journey, and things don't work. Like you go to an event, like the system that you made, you spent months on, doesn't work. You like figure something out quickly, and then you press the button, it doesn't work. So in front of maybe let's say 500 600 people in events, sometimes like this app just stops working. So it's fun though. And then the other thing is, I mean, at the time you're like, shitting your pants, but
Right.
but you realize, okay, it's part of being human. There are mistakes. Some things don't turn out the way you want, but I mean, at the end of the day, it just works out. And yeah, that whole experience was really good for me, and that risk I took. Still, I have like a lot of learnings that I have extracted from that place, and those things that I have learned, I still apply. And that's the risk in terms of my career. In terms of the studio, like I had no idea how. I mean, I had like a camera and stuff. Like I don't like to work commercially, but I do photography and videography as a hobby.
Okay.
So I knew how to do that, but that's about it. That I didn't know anything else. I just started the studio. I was like, okay, should there be a place for people to come and create? So that's what I just had from that single thought. I started it, and I didn't know whether it was gonna work out or not. I mean, I haven't seen any other studios at the time in 2021, especially. Now there are, but back in the day there wasn't much.
Wow.
So, but it worked out, and we have it paid off because we have recurring customers. Like every month, every weekend is basically booked. Every weekday we are booked to a certain level, and also we have recurring customers like big brands in Sri Lanka, and we have also shot for commercial stuff for foreign brands as well.
Wow.
Which is really amazing.
Seriously. I mean, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's to be able to be at a spot to say those things. Something that you started off as a risky thing. Like, I think it's a remarkable thing. So, I mean, first of all, why do you say like for the youngsters don't follow that idea? I'm curious.
It's like I have seen two kind of people when I mentor. One is people who follow the exact thing that you do, and two, some people like to do their own path, take their own path. So what I feel like is people, especially youngsters, should strive to be the second type of person I described, because you shouldn't look at a person and say, okay, that person's social upbringing and their environment, their monetary situation, and their level of intelligence, and their ability to work on a certain field is unique to them. So you shouldn't really follow that. What you should do instead is, do your own analysis and find out what are the things you are passionate about. Because you have to figure out whether this is something I should be doing for the next couple of years, or will I get bored doing it. So that's a question you should ask yourself all the time. I mean, if there's no passion in it, you shouldn't do it, because it's never gonna do any good to anyone. I have seen like a lot of people just doing things for the sake of doing, and then what that does is say burn a lot of people around them, which is not good. And especially youngsters when they're coming from a very young age, they need to try things and figure things out. Like for example, when I was young, I didn't know how, like I saw things like breaking in the house, and I would like go and fix them, and my parents would be like, okay, you're so smart, like you can do this, and they would try to like buy a certain appliance, but I would fix it on my own. And then when I don't break my toys, but when they do, what I do is have you seen Toy Story?
Yeah.
So you see the kid called Sid who breaks toys and then fixes in some other haphazard way.
Yeah.
So it's like take all the broken toys and then combine them into like something else. So I had like excavator that broke down. I took the circuit board and then fixed it onto a monkey or something. And then it's like the top part is like a monkey and the bottom part is like a excavator.
Yeah. Like the original Transformers in
Yes.
their own way.
Yeah, exactly. And then that was fun. And I had like learned like, okay, put switches so I could like change the direction of the robot. And then when I grew up, we actually in uni we participated in like robotics events. So we would make that was like a whole other experience. Like
Yeah.
you see people like there are certain parameters you have to play by.
Right.
And then you figure out, okay, when you actually go to the event, like things are completely different. So you have to adjust your robot to those situations. So I explain a lot, but then long story short is youngsters shouldn't take a certain path just because someone else tells you. You have to define your own path and life.
Right. That's actually good advice. And I think it's also important for them to understand themselves too. Right. Am I the type of person, not that say I think anybody can do entrepreneurship. But I think what I'm understanding from making a lot of mistakes myself is once you know what your strengths and weaknesses are and how you function and how you learn and grow based on those, then make those decisions.
Yeah.
Not like you said, don't just willy nilly follow whatever somebody else did. Know yourself. That way, it's a little safe, but then you can take risks on all those kind of things. And I think it's fair. It's safe to say that, like, have you failed in anything in life?
Yeah, a lot of times. Like, yeah, so many times. I mean, especially like I am not a very academic person. So
Really?
yeah, so believe it or not, but I usually study like even in the last day or something. I just play around, and when I was young, I used to like play video games all the time. So I would not study much.
Right.
Then I study just before the exam, and sometimes I would fail in exams.
Yeah.
So which then the parents are like, this guy is not gonna go anywhere. But then somehow it worked out. That's about academics. And then yeah, in life too, like sometimes like you have the highs and you have the lows. Yeah, so especially during COVID times, that was like really tough. So there were
Because
so in COVID times, like we had a bit of an issue with where I was working. Like we had a bit of a restructure going on, so we had to like sort of find different alternative employment. Those kind of things happen. So I mean, at the time it was really tough, but then I overcame. And there's a saying, right? Things happen for a reason. So that's what I realized. Like you may think that things happen, the worst things are happening to you like all the time, but then what you also have to realize is those things are happening for a reason. It's because I mean, you have to fail in order to realize what's best for you. Just like in fields like machine learning, right? So
right.
what they do is like they have like a robot, and it will make the algorithm, and it will make it fail like 1,000 times, and then that's how you figure out the right path.
Right.
So yeah, same way.
Sorry, I lost my train. Being a Sri Lankan, I think one of the things that have made me scared to try is fear of failure. And also, it's because I remember hearing people like talk negative, like it always happens to me, right? Like all the negative, like Matamaiwen and all that stuff. And how come you didn't fall into that trap? And what allowed you not to fall into that trap?
I
Thinking the worst thing's gonna happen to you.
Yeah, I believe it was, I guess, luck, because luck had a part to play in it. Because so when I was young, I didn't have any clue like what I was gonna do in my future.
Okay.
Because I was a bit pampered. I'm the only child, so my parents would, like I told you, like when I was young, like we would travel and all that. So what made me realize that I should start doing something is when my dad passed away, which was when I was 15, I guess.
Oh wow.
So that's when I sort of like realized, okay, I should do something, because now I should like take more responsibilities and be a person that actually can do good, and also do things that would take care of the family, right? So that's what got me thinking. But then still, like after a couple of years, again your youthfulness comes up, and then but still my mom didn't like let me feel all the pressure. Now as an adult, I know like how tough it is to like raise a child. I don't have children, but then I know how tough it is to like live. And I can't even imagine like how much she must have gone through, like raise me up and also pay for my tuition and my studies, and let me graduate, and also buy the stuff and take me out for dinners and all that. So it's kind of like my stupidity, which is like not like the fear of failure wasn't there, because there was someone to support me. The support system was there.
Right.
Like my dad, before, when my dad was there, like they both of them would support me. And this is when I had no clue what I was supposed to do. But then after he passed away, I had like a certain type of picture in my head, like this, I should go for technology. So then my mom supported me. So then that support system really helped me. And now my wife helps me a lot. So she is my support system. So she helps me. So whenever I fail, I know, okay, there is someone to, get me back up again. So because of that, I don't fear a lot of things. Like I would take the risks and then go for it, because I know that if I don't do it, sometimes there are challenges like, financially, it's like in Sri Lanka, it's really tough to get things done. And there's always like 100 hurdles to do something
Yeah.
than abroad. So, but still, what I realized is like when I'm doing things here, that have built certain resilience in me. So I'm able to like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? Like I can still go through it and then figure it out. So I guess to answer your question, the support system and the perseverance, and also knowing that trying out and failing a lot has helped me to build that, the what do you call that, sort of a supernatural kind of a power to not fear failing.
You mentioned your mentees.
Yes.
What kind of areas do you have in? What's like the common thing you've been noticing that you tell a lot of it?
Yeah. So, okay, whatever I do in the future, never mind how busy I get, I should always help people. Questions about how to get in the IT industry. Maybe they are in the industry, they want to get a promotion. So some of the highlights that has happened was there's a guy who was stuck at a certain position in a company. You may be different from someone else, right? So this person's situation was that he was doubting too much. So I, told him a couple of things, and then he got double promoted within that same year. And now I think he's at a really good company and he's doing really well, which makes me really happy. And I have heard stories about when I go for shippers and usually it doesn't drain spending my energy, time, and money and effort. I still love to hear things when I go for these events. Like some of the juniors in my uni and other unis, they have followed the advices that I post on LinkedIn and some other platforms and talks and stuff, and they have applied that, and that has actually worked out. So they come and talk, yeah, this worked out for inspiration, and some of them, I would say, career wise, they are at a higher position. They have gone for a higher position after listening to those things, which makes me really happy, because it's never about comparing.
Right.
You should, if you're teaching someone, you should teach that person to become better than you,
Right.
not to keep them below you.
Yeah. That's super inspiring that you take time out of your way to do that. How are you able to do all of these things?
I guess time management, also not time management, because like everything is in a chaos mode. Like you should see my workstation, it's like a mess. So there's my wife's side, which is like super, with beautiful flowers and nice setup. And there's my side, which like documents and 2 laptops and dust. And also, but that's also how I operate. Like I see, like in my even though in my line of work as a project manager, I bring processing to chaos. I'm a very chaotic person myself. Like in my personal life, I'm like I like stuff like lying here and there. That I guess that's like organized for me. I don't know if it makes sense, but it makes sense for me. That so that really need to other question. True.
How do you find the time? Yeah.
So when I have that safe space where I feel like I can work according to my way, then it makes things comfortable for me. So that even though I can't find time and it's really tough, I somehow put some extra effort and figure out what we can do. And also like time blocking really helps. Like I try to, even though like I put a lot of things on my calendar, so that way like there are slots, so everything is time blocked. Like even if it's like a dinner trip, everything is on a that way it's a little bit more organized digitally, maybe not physically, but and that way there's a constant nagging person who's appointment. So I guess that works out.
It's really cool. Finally, anybody who's feeling stuck in wherever they're at, as a person who takes risk and different kinds of things you try, what is your
If you're feeling stuck, I think I explained this before as well. You have to know that things somehow work out. So having their mind is gonna get you, because if you keep thinking, okay, everything happens to me, it's not working. Like there are 5 or 6 things that are going wrong on top of each other. But what you have to realize is, things happen for a reason, and you are a human at the end are not meant for greater things. Like, you would just be like anyone else and just living a normal life. But things happen because you are meant to do great things. So a lot of things, like for example, when I had my ambition that in the next 5 years I should be this person, in the next 10 years I should be this, and it's like very generous you get, but
You had goals.
yeah, sort of like a very high level goal, be this person, and then after those 5 years pass, you look back, you're like, oh shit, I just did to say shit. Yeah, but I just got it, and I didn't realize it. But then you start look back in the past 5 years. Okay, what led me to this situation that I'm in right now is because you took a certain decisions, and then you to right companionship, you chose the right friends to associate, and also you decided to follow your passions, which is really important. So I believe if you're feeling stuck, find a passion. It may be a hobby, maybe it's something else. Do it till you get sick of it.
Dude, thank you so much. I love how, you had a really pivotal moment with your father passing away. And then I love how you kind of just took that as an inspiration. And you made some mistakes later on, but I think what I'm hearing is like everybody has that pivotal moment in their lives, and you made a decision at that point. And I think you're definitely lucky to have your mom and a wife as well. But then also, it sounds like you find fulfillment one way or the other. If one is not doing it, you find another way too. And I think that relentlessness, the resilience that you have is super inspiring. Dude, thank you so much for being on the podcast and coming here. I knew you're a very busy guy, obviously.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's all Thai. Thai the photographer, which I couldn't interview. I couldn't interview. But I'm grateful for the people, cool creatives. I call you creative. So yeah, I appreciate you. All I gotta say is that if you're even feeling a slight inspired, there is that something in you trying to tell you, hey, I'm passionate about something else, and you need to find that out. So I encourage you to create one way or the other, build something, draw, whatever it might be, or break it into something and then put it together. That's still a creativity at its core. So all I gotta say is, till next time, keep creating, keep dreaming, and keep going on your own creative artistry. See you later.